Welcome back. Last time we took a look at Brian and getting it ready for Super Smash Bros. 64. And to our surprise, Brian had very low tries. The model had about 267, and with some finagling and modifying, we increased that number to 275. Well below 320. This time we're going to look at a model that requires substantial more work. I have gone into Models Resource, and I decided to download Megaman Volnutt from the PlayStation game, Megaman Legends. As you can see here, here is our wonderful character. He's really big. Why don't we put him in place so we can get a better look at him. Now, he looks a little funky, doesn't he? That's confusing. But if you remember what we discussed last time, we want to click on him. We want to go to our planet. We come down here. We want to turn off show back face, and now we can see him. Hitting 1 to see what's the front, we can see he's backwards. I'm going to click R, and I'm going to rotate on the Z-axis 180. And now he is front facing, and we can see each other. So, we're going to make Megaman Volnutt ready for Super Smash Bros. 64. Let's take a look at our try count. As we can see here, our try count is 486 tries. All I can say is, wow, that is one big model. It's almost as big as Earthworm Jim. So this is going to have to shrink if we're going to want to get this usable. Again, we probably could get a model this big to work, but it would probably have lag, or who knows, worse, causing crashing. So let's take a look at a few things, shall we? Clicking on the UV editing tool, or tab, we're going to go up here. Let's take a look at his mesh. That's his mesh. That is a lot to his mesh. Look at all these individual components and parts. Like with Brian, we're going to want to go in and we're going to want to break parts out. Remember, he's going to be at a distance when we're fighting. He's going to probably be around right here unless you hit enter and you're going to zoom in. So looking at him, parts might not need to be this way. Pretty sure we can end up duplicating parts at least. His fists look like they could use the texture. Arms and legs probably could use the same texture if they don't already. Let's see here. If that's his leg, that's his arm. Arms and legs do use the same texture. Pretty sure we can come in and we can get that working. What about his hair? Yeah, hair is there. All right, let's look at making this model a little smaller. So let's break each part out and we'll tackle this bit by bit, like most engineering processes. Start small, start in parts, and eventually you'll get to where you need to go. Ah, you missed a part. Now, I have seen some models having a neck. So I'm going to keep the neck separate for now. Alright. I might not even keep the neck. We might end up deleting it in the long run. Hide this. Let's look here. That's his upper arm, lower arm, fists, fist, upper body, lower body, upper leg, lower leg, foot. So each part is now its own separate object. We should be able to start modifying them. So, if we look at his head right here contains 138 tries. That is a lot of tries. We are going to want to shrink that. Again, we're seeing detail from a distance most of the time. It's going to be about here when we're fighting, and here when we're zoomed in. So we want to find spots we can eliminate tries. If the texture's too dark, you can do this in object mode, or a solid mode, sorry, which is probably where we're going to go here for now. So let's see here. Where can I start killing tries? If I had to guess, first things first, his face. Does his face need that roundness? And maybe so. I always found merging in the center to be useful. His ears are actually part of his head, if you look at it. They're just on the side of his head, so that's something to keep in mind. I think the first step is to modify his hair, his wonderful, luscious hair. So let's do that. I'm going to see that bend. That's the first spot I'm going to go. It bends out like that, and while it gives it a nice look, at the end of the day, I don't think we need this bend. Let's merge at last. Because his hair is spiky, right? So we're going from this to this. And like I said before, not loving my model, I can live with that, honestly. I'm going to be making a lot of changes that I'm going to be going, I can live with it. For example, another bit. I think those can merge. Merge these. We'll merge them at the center this time. And this piece, can merge that at last. Alright. And then, let's see here, is there anything on the head we need? The head is a really nice roundness to it. And while that's good, no one's going to really care. So what I'm propose we do is, given that it's 6, we're going to shrink that down. I don't want to make it a pure triangle, so what we'll do is we'll make it into a pentagon. Merge at last. We'll merge at last. And then this piece, I'm actually fine with just merging that at last as well. Now the thing is that just made his head incredibly flat. But you can also take said points, probably not those two at the top, and we can pull them out. Go to our move tool, let's pull these out. Aha. 2, 3, 4. Oh. Let's pull these out, shall we? And I think that's a little spiky. Let's pull those back in. Maybe pull them up, back in. Kind of round, well, except for the back. If we look at it from the top, that's still a little flat. But you know, we can always pull them in a little bit to try and give us the sense of roundness. And lo and behold, it's not perfect, but I don't think anyone's going to notice. So let's keep modifying his head. We dropped it down to 126 tries. We've got a long way to go. We have a whole model of 474. I think we need to get his face below the 100 mark. Absolutely. Now, some can use something called limited dissolve. So if we go in here and we take a look at our options we have, one of them will say limited dissolve. Whichever one it is, I don't remember. But we will take a look. Merging by distance. Actually, we might want to do that real quick. Oh, good. Everything's connected together. I don't see limited dissolve. You can look it up. What limited dissolve will do, though, is we'll try and make best guesses on shrinking things. And sometimes that looks really good. Sometimes it does not. Let's go further in here. Spiky hair. How many? Let's take a look at how many are on this entirely. Real quick. That's part of your face. And there's definitely the parts under it. So, if I had to say, that looks to be the hair. That part is alone 100 or 47 faces, so that is a lot. All right. When I worked with Goemon, he had a similar situation with his hair. When there's too much, sometimes there's too much. What is the most important parts of the hair? I think it's going to be the spikes in the front. I don't think we need to worry too much about some of the other things. So we're going to start cutting the hair down. This here, this point right here, what are we gaining by having this point in existence? It allows the hair to be there. It allows us to, let's see here. I can see what it's doing. It's supposed to be giving it depth. You are going to become a triangle. So let's do that first. Merge that at center. Let's pull this over. Take a look. That's not too bad. Could be better. Could be worse. I do want to keep that line down the middle though. But I do think when it comes to spikes, we're going to want to start removing some. And if we do add them back, they're going to be a lot smaller. Let's see here. I am going to take this point and merge it down here. And now that we've done that, I'm going to take this point and I'm going to merge it up here. Okay. And then we've done that. We've got 3 spikes there. We can leave that bit alone. Let's come back over here. This piece, while I like it, I'm merging these together. We'll merge these at center, just as a half measure. And maybe we'll pull it back a little bit in both directions. Yeah, that's okay. And what other ones do we want to merge? That roundness. I love it. It's going away. All right. Any other round bits? No. Round is thy enemy. Unfortunately. All right. Okay, so that, I think, as far as hair is concerned, that's not a lot. Like, we've only cut off like 20 tries. Let's jump over to a few other parts. We'll come back to the head as we go. Let's look at his arm. His arm contains 20 tries. His arm is also perfectly octagonal or hexagonal. We're going to change that. It's round. For Smash models, I actually found squares to be just as suitable. As long as you put like a circle on them, no one will really notice. Now we're going to want to make it bigger for certain. Let's see here. Last, we'll fix the textures as we go. We can load in the model. Let's make this a little wider. All right, let's see. Yep, that works. That's actually not too bad, I would say. We can do that with the other side too. Actually, let's do this. Move this over here. We're going to scale it a little bit. Let's go in here, scale a little bit. All right. Looks like it shrunk a little bit in the process. Scale it up a little bit. We'll duplicate this, put it back where we found it, and we'll delete the original. Boom. Since they're pretty much the same. Let's look at the hands now. Hands are 22 tries. Any spots we can remove at the moment. I could make it a triangle. That would probably benefit. Oftentimes, while squares look good, in the midst of battle, you're not really going to notice the triangle. I think what I will do is I'll do the inside. Right here. Merge center. Merge it, center. And then it looks like there's one more that I can't see because of how dark it's all getting. And this one can merge at center. All right. Let's see here. If you noticed, his arm doesn't look as fat as it used to, does it? You can see the other one on the other side. Why don't we scale it by Y a little bit? Is this optimal? I mean, it doesn't look like it used to, but as far as a Smash model goes, that's not too bad. And what we'll do is we will duplicate it, because he is actually very symmetrical, if you think about it. Scale X on the negative. Let's go up here to our mesh, flip our normals. If you ever scale something and flip it, always normals. And to do that, S is scale and negative is what will make it flip. Alright, so that's his arms. So far we've cut down. We've gone to 436. We're going to go down to sub 400, and then I'm going to call it on this little run through, because it's basically the same thing. Look at the parts, find where you can remove verts. For example, we went down from 20 to 16, and there's still things I can do. For example, this looks kind of triangle-y. I bet I could just turn this into a triangle itself, but we'll try and give it the benefit of the doubt for now. Let's look his leg. Again, you can convert this to a square. All right. So notice this part on the top here. Part of that shape is because of this. If I scale this whole thing outward, that's going to get bigger. It's not what we want. This is going to be where we start playing with perspective a little bit. If we look at the leg, if I scale the back, I can see I get some size. And that is important. We want it to go down. As we're playing, I mean, those of Y's eyes will notice, but others, not so much. There we go. I think that's good for his legs. We're going to copy you. We're going to do what we did last time. Go in, scale it by -1. Let's flip our normals. Put it in place. delete the old one. Right. Let's keep going. We are making a lot of progress. 22. Alright, so let's take a look at the foot. It's got this lovely roundness to it. Again, always love the roundness. This piece here, it probably needs to be that blocky. We probably don't need this bit at the top. No one's really going to notice it. And if they are, again, we can fake it. We're not trying to make a one-to-one model here from the game. We're trying to make something that's going to work in Smash. That's okay. This bit on the front, let's merge this at last. We'll merge that at last. These two pieces, let's scale it out a little bit because his feet do have some bulk to them. This piece we can scale out a little bit too because it has some bulk to it. Now it's kind of like a little car, isn't it? Okay. Looks like the foot does not need any of flipping. There. Alright, so where are we now? We're at 408. We have 100 tries to go. So far, so good. Let's hide. Let's hide his body and his arms real quick. Let's take a look at this part. This part is already square. It's actually not too bad. 14. I do think that little spike might not be important. Let's see. They connect it through, they're making it connect to the body as such. Pretty sure we can fake that. How am I going to fake it? Well, I'm going to pull this piece in a little bit, like that. So if we take a look at the side, maybe not. For now, we'll leave that one alone. How about your body here? All right. This piece looks kind of square. It's not. It's not a bad configuration, I would say. We'll leave you alone. You get a pass. Body time. All right, the body. I know we are going to want to try and keep that, or let's do this. Oh, center. And we'll do the back as well. There we go. I think this can go up a little bit. I want the back to go up with it. We'll make you go up a little bit, and we'll scale it out a little bit. Maybe go back down a little bit. There we go. Good. We're at 400. We have 100 to go. This right here is 40 tries. It's huge. It's also a very pretty circle. And a pentagon probably would be better. Since I don't plan people on seeing the back too much, we'll merge them on the back. Actually, we could do that. Make it an ion sphere. Notice how these tries have deformed inwards based off of shape. When that tends to happen, you're going to want to delete the faces, and you're going to want to build them back by highlighting the 3 points in question and hitting F. That way, it has a different structure. That's actually not too bad. This part right here. So, if we look at this part right here, my plan for it is going to be multifold. One thing that I recommend is using pyramids whenever you can. So we're going to duplicate that, hide that part. We're going to delete these now. Delete these faces. Bring it back. Now why did I do that? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wonderful square that we have, since this is part of his arm, and I'm going to turn this into a triangle. Merge its center. So why did I do that? Well, for one, this part is his upper arm. Let's take a look here. Upper, middle, lower. That means this part, this triangle is never going to move. So if I pull this up high enough, and then I take this part of the sphere here on the bottom, and I merge them together, and then I pull this down a little bit, kind of the same. Not quite. This right here is 28 versus 40. And given what we're trying to do, that's actually not too bad. Why don't we try and remove some more while we're at it? I think that part on the top is pretty good. Maybe this piece. Yeah, that's pretty good. And that leaves us at 26. Let's duplicate this, drag it over here, put it in place where the other one was, delete the other one, and now we are at 372. We still have a ways to go. We have to remove roughly 50 to go. But already you can see that we took almost 500 and we've cut them down. And while the textures are going to be off at the moment, we've removed almost 100 tries, and it's relatively still Megaman. I mean, it's not the same by any means, but that's not the point. We have many other things we can do. For example, I could turn this into a triangle. I can very much just turn this into a square. We have his neck, which I think is okay. We'll probably use that. As far as the face is concerned, all of these parts are going to have to adjust. Look at the head here. If we look at it, this probably can go up. I know they have the ear there, but we can change or adjust the textures. Like these textures here, we probably can use to fill in some of our missing gaps. We'll try and fix everything else first. This is still 22. I am going to call it here, though. I'm going to probably start converting things into triangles. For example, just as a reference, what do I mean? Well, this right here could become a triangle. Let's merge it at the center. And now that it's a triangle, yeah, it's definitely not as boxy or doesn't look as bulky, but with enough tweaking, it will substitute very well. Pull it back, pull it over, go up here, take this, we'll merge these at the center. And now that you don't see the discrepancy of the squares, that's it. It's actually not too bad. Like, in the grand scheme of things, that's actually not a bad change, having it being a triangle. It doesn't look as good as being a square, but remember, we're trying to get our tries down. So make cuts where you can. Like this right here. I converted this into a pyramid, so that's always something. So this is where I'm going to cut. This is basically the idea. Just keep going at it, finding spots you can remove verts. I will finish this model off, and I can show him next to Brian, and we can practice rigging both of them if it's something that's popular. But for now, that is the idea of getting a model ready for Smash Bros. 64. Remember, we want to keep our textures down, and we want to keep our tries down. Tries for a high poly model are 320. And when we're wanting to go with the low poly model, you've got to keep that in mind. This is supposed to get even smaller. We're already struggling to get this down, but he's supposed to go down to 200. Meaning a lot of these concessions we're making are probably going to drastically change. This will probably become a box. This hair, I can guarantee you, will become 1 or 2 bangs at best. But for now, thank you. Have a good day.